Hi guys, I'm gonna give a minute for Sarah to get on here, but I'm about to start our live on women and muscle gain phases. And I'm super excited to talk about this because it's something that I've been through before. And I'm gonna actually get Sarah on right now. I should be able to just press her name. Let's see, okay. I think we're good.
Hey there.
We did it!
Yay.
It's a lot better than my first time.
Good. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So we should always start these, just say exactly who we are, what we do. I'm Maddy Martinez. I'm a women's health and fitness coach, and I help women get stronger, gain a ton of confidence in their self and their body, and prioritize their health. And I'm here with Sarah, and Sarah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks, Maddie. So I'm also a women's fitness and nutrition coach. Just actually got started in the business about a year ago. So really kind of building things up, and initially started with women who are postpartum, but have kind of been transitioning to all different age groups and all different types of ladies that I've worked with.
Awesome. Okay. So we'll just kind of jump into what we're talking about today. And it's something that Sarah and I have a lot of experience in working with clients in this and also our own experience with it. And we're going to be talking about basically women going into a bulking phase. And what the heck does that mean? We're going to make it seem not so scary. We're going to talk about our both of our experiences. We've both been doing it. Sarah's currently in that phase, the benefits of it, and really why we should focus for women on gaining muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So just so everyone kind of knows what the heck is a bulking phase, I'll just kind of explain it really briefly. Sarah, you can feel free to add in wherever. But essentially, bulking is just eating above maintenance. And if you're like, what's maintenance mean? That is just maintenance is when you're not gaining and you're not losing. So you're just maintaining weight. So bulking can really be any bit above that when you start to see a change in your body weight or body shape. And that's essentially what it is. So this could be slowly gaining muscle over time. If you're gaining some weight, those two things go hand in hand. Just because you're gaining weight, it's not a bad thing, especially when you're in a bulk too.
Mm-hmm.
So Sarah, do you want to start talking about your experience right now being in a bulk, and I can ask you some questions about it?
Yes, sure. So I think probably for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been on a moderate bulk, a moderate calorie surplus. This is coming off the summer months when I was at maintenance, a little bit below maintenance calories for most of the summer. And really, the main reason that I want to go into more of a bulking phase is that I want to see an increase in my size, my muscle size specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that you have to be mindful of when I went into the bulk is making sure that your macronutrients are properly balanced so that you are feeding your muscles with the proper nutrients to grow instead of gaining like unnecessary or unwanted body fat.
Mm-hmm.
So I am currently on just a moderate calorie surplus, around 15%. So my maintenance calories are around like 2,200, 2,300, and I'm aiming for about 2,600 calories a day. So since I've started, I'm definitely feeling stronger. I'm feeling a little less tired, a little less fatigued. So I have a lot more energy for the gym. And I have noticed a little bit of change, like in my abs, like a little, like less definition in my abs, or like I don't want to call it a roll because but I definitely have a little bit more cushion in the middle, which I'm okay with,
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot strictly exclusively build muscle without adding a little bit of body fat. So that's something
Mm-hmm.
that I try to encourage women to be comfortable with. Is you're going to gain a little bit of fat when you're building muscle too,
Mm-hmm.
but you know um, if you have a goal of losing that, ultimately that would kind of be the next phase after the bulking phase.
Is there
So yeah,
I was going to ask you, is there for you, you're in this surplus, are you focusing on one macronutrient more than the other for your.
So I know this is cliche, but of course, protein. So protein and carbs, really. So and I'll tell you a little bit of a struggle that I actually have too. So with protein, I'm definitely trying to aim for at least my body weight in grams of protein,
Mhm.
plus probably a little bit more. So like my daily goal is around 150 grams to 160 grams of protein, and I weigh currently a little over 140. So I am aiming for that. I have, for whatever reason, I have a really hard time hitting my carbs, and that's not
Really?
intentional because I love carbs.
Uh-huh.
So most days I find that I come in heavy on fat,
Mhm.
and I hit my protein to a T, and then I come short on like clean, healthy carbs. So that's something that I'm working on, is being conscious of like increasing my carb, because my carbs are close to 300 a day, which is
Mhm.
a lot, and my fat macronutrient is around like 70 grams per day, and
Mhm.
I usually go like yesterday. I think I was at like well over 100 on grams of fat. So
Oh, wow.
that's like one of my struggles that I have.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, and I'll just throw this in there, like, and I know we are going to talk about this question later on, but if you're struggling with eating enough food in your bulk, this is like maybe one of the few times where, for myself, especially with my own bulking and with clients that I've bulked and put them through that, it's not that clean carbs and whole foods goes out the window. But when you're a smaller person and you have to eat more carbs, like this is where we get to have fun and like have cereal, have like I was putting crap ton, I know, of brown sugar on my oatmeal, like easy ways to get carbs in, because it's not that we don't focus on whole foods, that like we're really prioritizing getting this number in, getting the calories in. So we'll just get it in however we can and still make sure you're getting fruits and veggies throughout the day. But that's what I'd say for you is just add in like brown sugar, add in the fun stuff, because that makes it so much easier.
Yeah, like today for lunch I had like salmon, rice, and asparagus, and I was like, I wasn't even hungry, and I did feel like I was kind of like forcing myself to eat even though I wasn't like really super hungry, because I want to hit that calorie goal for the day.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I totally was there too. When I was bulking, the highest I got in calories, and I sat here after the bulk too for a while, was 3,000 calories. And it was no joke. Like getting 3,000 in as a 5'5" woman was not easy, but
Yes. Yes.
that was helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
um, Another goal I wanted to ask you, you already told me you feel great, tons of energy. What's your plan after? So after you're done bulking, like let's say you woke up tomorrow, but you're not, and you're like, I'm done bulking. What's next for you?
Well, I think often, and I'm probably guilty of this, we overlook just maintenance calories.
Mm.
It's like we don't always have to be in a phase of bulking or cutting. So like probably when I'm done with this, calorie surplus, this bulking, which is going to be like probably at the beginning of 2023, um, I'm planning to just kind of eat normal, like just kind of be at maintenance calories for a while before like deciding to go on a cut to cut body fat or anything like that. So yeah, I'm planning to just kind of go like more maintenance calories.
And that's smart, because if you were to go directly into a cut or even drop all the way back to maintenance, like a flip of the switch, that's where you end up losing more muscle mass.
Yeah, yeah, and you're hungry, you get that deprivation, you're
Yeah,
starving, because you're going from such a contrast to like pretty much eating quite a bit of food to like now you're under calories, so it's just like your body's in shock. So I also like to do more of a gradual transition.
exactly. And it's the same thing of, we talk about reverse dieting, slowly increasing. You still have to slowly decrease, when you're coming out of a diet, coming out of a diet, things like that.
Yeah.
So I'll go into kind of like what I did for my bulk. So I started a bulk last, I think around October, so around, holiday season. And I had a goal of, I went pretty hard in my bulk. I'm kind of like you. I'm like string beanie, not saying you are, but like we're lengthier people. It's hard to build muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it takes me forever. Like my sister who was on here a second ago, she gains muscle by looking at a dumbbell. And
Yeah. Well, and also the younger you are, like, so I know you're younger. I'm 37. The older you get, it is so hard to build muscle. So yes, to your point. So
yeah.
like these young people, they're just like putting on the muscle.
Yeah, yeah. And my sister, she's 2 years older than me, about 2 years, and she still gains muscle so easily. So for me, it's really hard. And I felt like I was going through this pattern of, okay, I want to lean out to show more muscle, but I would lean out and I'm like, where's the muscle? So with my coach, I was like, all right, I'm ready to go like full in for a hard bulk. And I was ready to kind of sit there and be heavier for a good amount of time. So I gained around, I think like 13, 15 pounds. So it definitely wasn't like a minor bulk. It was a big deal. I went from like 134, 35 to like 150 something. Like it was a big, well, it was almost 20 pounds. Okay, no, it was around 140. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Not 20-pound bulk. That'd be a little much. It was around that like 14, 13 mark. And I was progressively gaining, week after week around, I think, fourth of a pound to around a pound. And then after that was probably the hardest part. Once you have fun eating all this food, lifting a ton, I had to sit there. And I had to sit there in my uncomfortableness of having gained a ton of muscle, which was great, but also body fat. I had to sit there and wait until I could actually cut. And now I'm on the other side of it, cutting after the bulk, and I'm down I'm down 16 pounds, and my body does feel a ton different. Like I don't feel as noodly armed, like
Yeah.
lacking mass, but it
Yeah.
was a hard journey. Like I started this journey last year, so it was a long journey.
Wait, I'm sorry if you already said it. What month did you start your bulk in?
I want to say like it was like October, November, and so I
Oh,
was
wow.
I'm pretty sure I was finishing my bulk maybe around like January, February, and then I maintained. And then just with life events happening, it just wasn't the right time for me to diet, even after I maintained for a bit. So I waited a little bit longer. My sister was getting married, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Until I'd be able to be home, focus on a cut phase. And yeah, so it was about a year process.
Okay.
Bulking.
Gotcha. Good.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so let me ask you another question about your process. So obviously, when you're in this phase, it is extremely important to complement the additional calories with a very structured workout program.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this. If you are not um, putting those calories to work, those calories will end up as stored fat. So tell me a little bit about your workout routine while you were going through this bulk. Did you, how intense was it? Did you utilize progressive overload to complement the additional calories that you were eating?
Yeah, yeah. So first, we probably should define progressive overload just so everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just adding intensity through reps, through sets, through a bigger range of motion, just making sure your programming is increasingly getting harder over time. So literally every programming I do, it always has that as like the forerunner. I'm always making sure, am I increasing my sets, my rests, or am I changing the rest period? So when I was in my bulk, I did high volume training. So I was doing a ton of sets, a ton of reps. The weight was not super high because I wasn't focused on hitting a PR, like in the 1 to 3 rep range. And I would definitely recommend, you can still bulk in every rep range. If you want to get the most bang for your buck, it's that high rep range where like you feel like you're dying. Not I mean, it not hurts, but you can definitely feel it like fatiguing faster. So I did the higher rep range for the majority, it was like 15, 16 weeks. That's what I focused on. So it was really helpful because that's a hard rep range to train in for a long time because you're tired. It's a longer workout, but you have all those extra calories to where you feel like, oh, I can keep doing this all day. I feel great. So that's what I did for that.
Okay, great, great. And then how did you decide upon how many calories you were going to aim for with your surplus? Like, because there's a variety, like some people go more gradual. You know, some people really go all out when they're in a calorie surplus. So how did you personally calculate and decide upon what your building calories would be?
So we were shooting around the like 12 to like 14 pound range. So you're just kind of doing some like reverse engineering of like, okay, how much would I need to gain? And then adding the calories through there. Like that's how I know how much of a surplus. Was every single week exactly what I needed to gain? No, some weeks a little higher, some a little lower. But if I was meeting that threshold of, okay, I like gained at least a half a pound, that's good. I mean, you really can figure it out by saying how much do I want to gain? You know, of course, if I kept going, most of it would have been fat. At some point, you're going to get a diminution in your returns, and it's
Yeah.
like just fat.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
thought I was close to that, but I had wanted to really focus. Like this is the year I really focus on muscle gain.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I'm committed to like maybe up to 15 pounds.
Mhm.
So I did it backwards. I just said, okay, I'm going to shoot to gain about 3/4 pound per week. So that I went from adding in calories that way.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. Um, and then one thing to talk about just briefly too is just tracking the food.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just share my personal experience. So like when I first transition my calories, like whether it's transitioning back to maintenance, going to a cut, increasing, I get very focused initially about tracking the calories,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the first couple weeks. And then once I start to like kind of repeat the same foods, have the same meals, you know, we all have our favorites, we all have our go-tos. I find that it is much less necessary to track super strict every single day. There are some days that are like wild that I just like, okay, I should probably put that in the tracker because I have no idea where I ended up today. But
Mm-hmm.
most of my days are structured enough that I know for the most part, if I eat A, B, C, and D, my calories are going to come in around this ballpark range. And so I'm not like right now I'm not super diligent about tracking like every single food item that I eat. And I just wanted to ask you what you do for your tracking.
I'm a little bit on the different side, but I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think it's up to preference. And it's definitely a different conversation if we were talking about dieting.
Mm-hmm.
That one, like with any goal, if you want to manage something, you have to look at what's happening. You have to
Yeah.
measure.
Yeah.
But I think
With relative precision. Yes.
yes, yes. I think with bulking, you can definitely get away with it. I follow the same logic, and if I'm eating the same exact thing all day, I won't track for a few days because it's literally the same meal, right? Now, if I was like, oh, I know we're going out to dinner tomorrow night, okay, I'm gonna like estimate that now and then figure out my day. So yeah, the day wasn't the same, so I'm going to track.
Mm-hmm.
For me, because I had wanted to really gain so much, I was tracking literally all the time. But if I had days that were repeating, I just wouldn't track those because I know it's the same macros, same macros, it's the same.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you're someone that can be consistent, is eating the same thing, you don't have to track every day because you basically are tracking every day and just
Yeah.
putting, just
You've
copying.
already done the work.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah. So definitely two trains of thought when you're bulking versus like dieting for that.
Yeah.
I think a good thing for us to go through is like the biggest benefits, which we talked about. You kind of hit on. You have a ton more energy. You're noticing the gain in your strength and in your size.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that I kind of briefly said that women really want to achieve this toned look, and every time I toned on literally anything, then you get like a surplus of women like, I want to look toned. I want to look toned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that toned is a bad word. It's just very misleading in that we can diet till we're blue in the face, but if there's no muscle, there's no tone. And so I think it's super important that, or I'm not talking that all women have to go through what I did, a 15-pound gain. Even a couple pounds will have a huge difference on the end because you will have that muscle because you built that muscle. If we just diet down, there's really no muscle being built.
Yeah. And that was me for like, if anybody's been following me on Instagram, you've seen my story where like my whole life I've had no tone. Like I've been like a stick figure my whole life. So I found like I started working out like 2014, 2015, and there were many years that went by that I was working out like 5 days a week and literally nothing about my body was changing at all. Like nothing. Like I was like, how can I work out so much and not have any results? And it's because I wasn't eating what I was supposed to be eating. So honestly, for the first time, like a year and a half ago is when I really started tracking my macros. And that's when like I find I'm not where I want to be. Like I still want to be more, I still want to gain more muscle, but that's when I finally started seeing changes, is when I trusted the process.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you have your macros, if you have your workout program and you follow it, it is a formula and it will work. Like it's not perfect, so that we might have to make some tweaks. We might have to make some modifications, but like you need to trust the process and give it time, and the results will definitely come, whether it's building muscle or weight loss.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, and there's a lot of, I think, conversation around like, oh, I want to learn how to intuitive eat, or I don't want to track macros. And I always tell anyone who has any like, oh, tracking, that seems a little bit obsessive. And I always say, like, you have to learn what food has before you can eat intuitively. You have to learn new body cues of hunger before you learn to eat intuitively. You know, there are definitely times where I go through periods where I'm not tracking because I don't have a specific goal and I'm fine with maintaining. And that's, I don't want to say like a relaxing time, but I'm not as like focused. But then there are times the focus back when I'm dieting, when I'm focusing on muscle mass. So I think that's like an overlooked thing. People think it's just obsessive, but like in reality, like you want to pay off your loans, what do?
Yes.
You owe.
Right.
You could insert anything there. You have to track things if you want to change things. Yeah, that's a good one. Here's a great one. I feel like I say this all the time. So I wish I would have saved the doctor, or I could reference the doctor that said it. If I can find it, I will post it on the caption. But I believe it's like women over 60 or somewhere around there have a 60% chance, and then don't quote me, I know it's not right, but when they fall, of breaking a bone because their bones are brittle.
Oh,
and this is something all women deal with, osteoporosis. All women don't deal with. They have a higher chance of dealing with this. And there is one thing we can truly do to make sure we have stronger bones, and that's increase bone density. And how we do that is build muscle, lift weights, eat more food, and create that. And I think that's something, people look at like, I don't want to gain weight. Well, no, it's really like making yourself, like, I hate to be a cliche, but like harder to kill, like,
yeah.
So you fall and break a hip. I've heard that line how many times? But make yourself durable. And I think that's so overlooked.
Yeah. In my opinion, there is no client that would not benefit from strength training. And honestly, I feel like that is the viewpoint of the vast majority of fitness coaches these days. It is all about the weightlifting and the strength training. It's not about the cardio anymore.
I mean, if we're talking like heart health, yeah, I mean, I'm the queen of steps, always pushing steps, because that's a simple thing that we can do just to help with our metabolism. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much more benefit from the getting away from preventing brittle bones as we age. Just build strength. That's all you have to do is lift and focus on that from the longevity standpoint. Are there any benefits you wanted to like talk on?
Well, there's one thing that I just thought of that I thought that people might have a question about this. So, and I know we only have 5 minutes left, but
no, it's not a big deal.
So for people who may have a higher than desired body fat percentage to start with. So let's say a client comes to us and they say, I'm 20 pounds overweight. I want to lose the weight, but I also want to focus on building muscle. That is a scenario. I know a lot of people have heard this term like body recomposition, where I would not necessarily put that client on a huge calorie surplus to begin with. Even
Right.
if they say, I want to build muscle, we can work on building muscle while keeping you at maintenance calories and working on a fat loss phase. Because I think it's a lot of the clients that come to me, they want to lose weight. So if you tell someone right off the bat, you know, they say, I want to lose 20 pounds, and I say, I'm going to put you on a calorie surplus, that probably sounds terrifying for them. So
Yeah.
I know you're a big advocate of building metabolism. So I believe in improving metabolism through a high protein diet, maybe reducing some of the super indulgent foods like high sugar, high fat foods, and working on body recomposition without that person being in a surplus. I'd rather see that person at maintenance calories for a while to try to lose the weight before worrying so much about, like, let's put on these huge muscles. What are your thoughts about, you know, a weight loss client when it comes to muscle building?
I totally agree with that. You know, it's not that, but it would be intimidating to hear, like, we're going to focus on like gaining size first. Like, that's not what anyone wants to hear. Probably might do like way back in the day, like, what, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just basically every single woman that I work with, the first thing I always tell them is, you know, you've been doing this your whole life, you know, we're going to get you steady and then we're going to increase you up. And kind of like you said, like, I really am a huge advocate for focusing on metabolism first, because when you focus on getting the body as healthy and strong first, when you go to diet, it is a heck of a lot easier to get the result that you want. Like a great example, I'm currently working with a girl that I went to high school with. And, you know, we focused on, I told her, like, you were doing so much activity, like Pilates 5 times a week, you walk a lot. We're not going to diet you. And she was eating around like 1,800 calories. I'm like, we're going to change what you're eating and just slowly work on increasing your metabolism. And we're nearly getting to 2,000 calories, and she's lost a few pounds. Body composition has changed. So it's breaking down that fear of, like, you know, the only way we have to do this is to, you know, go through a diet phase, especially in the beginning, because 9 times out of 10, I think I've dieted one client right off the bat when I first met them. It's always like, let's focus on your habits. Let's focus on everything else, because usually that stuff really needs cleaned up. And even if we do focus on their metabolism by eating more food, there is probably a reduction because they're eating less of the other food, you know, the fun food, like going
Yeah.
out for. So there is still a reduction, but it's also like adding in all the other good stuff on top of that.
Yeah, right. Yes. Because that's what will help to build the muscle, not, you know, the Cheetos or whatever.
Yeah, the drinks, the pizza, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah,
not gonna help your body.
exactly. Yeah. But I think that's a really good topic that, like, if you're super new, you know, and you want to, like you said, you have some more body fat, like, what do I do? Just focus on changing the big, like, habits that you're doing, how much you sleep, what you're drinking, water intake, steps, and eating more protein for sure is going to help you already get there. It's a good launch pad. Another one that I think is a really good thing to talk about is increasing your ability to lose weight is actually easier after you go through a muscle gain phase, because you've built your metabolism up so much. It's like primed and ready after you sit there and let your body acclimate, but it's primed and ready to lose weight easier because now you have more muscle. Now you have a higher metabolism. So if you're someone that's like, oh, I'm eating around, you know, 1,500 calories and I have to diet, like, where are you going to go? There's nowhere really to go from there. So if you are starting from a higher standpoint, now we have all this space to where your body can respond really well to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. So, and for those of you who don't know, you know, muscle requires a much greater energy usage than fat cells or than other types of cells. So the more muscle mass percentage your body has, the more efficiently your body will utilize calories. That's your metabolism that Maddie's referring.
I think it's like 6 calories per hour for muscle mass and 2 calories for fat. So like, watching TV, would you rather be burning 6 calories or 2?
Yeah.
I think say 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I guess the last one being just at the end, right? after you have bulked, now you're able to eat more food in general, right? You kind of like when you finish your bulk, your maintenance is going to be higher now.
Yeah. Like, so I was on a trip with two friends like in the spring, and they were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe how much food you eat." And it's literally it's because you work out, you've got the muscle mass, but yeah, it's really enjoyable to be able to like eat, like what you want, not what you want, everything, but like, a much greater amount of food than you would otherwise have.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Like even I started my bulk, I think around 27, maybe 25 or so, 25-ish, 24-ish, 100 calories. And I ended around 3,000. And then I stuck around like 2,990 or something around there. And that was an increase because if I would have went down, I would have started losing, and I didn't want to lose weight too fast. So now on the other side where I'm dieting, I'm going to be building back up soon. I won't be building back up to 2,900, but maybe around 2,800 or 2,750. And that's still an increase from where I started like a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. We really covered it all today.
Yeah.
Is there anything to add in before we go down?
No, I think I'm good. Are there any questions? I don't think there's any questions in the chat.
No, but if anyone leaves any questions on here, me and Sarah will happily answer them, and you guys can just let us know if questions about nutrition, fitness, how much weight you should gain a bulk, anything like that, which are super dependent on your situation, but we're happy to answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks,
So,
Maddy.
you're welcome. We'll
Okay.
definitely
Great to see you. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.